The Banshees of Inisherin was directed by Martin McDonagh, and it stars Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, and Barry Keoghan. The Oscars are coming up very soon, and I decided to review my personal favorite film of the last year. Even though I think the Oscars are kind of a sham, I am personally rooting for this one to win Best Picture. Though I'd be happy if All Quiet ended up winning the Best Picture. Both All Quiet on the Western Front and The Banshees of Inisherin for me are like neck and neck. Though I think this film has the slighter edge, because I think it's more rewatchable. All Quiet is kind of a bleak and depressing war movie. I mean, so is this film, but I feel like this film has an element of dark comedy to it, which I think really gives this film character. Not to go on too much of a tangent, I think that both of these films are equally great, but I think I enjoy Banshees a little more. This film is a tale about friendship, and the potential extreme consequences of holding grudges. This film takes place during the Irish Civil War, though the carnage of this war is shown in the background. This film decides to focus on a much smaller war, the falling out of our two main characters, Padraig and Colm. This conflict is ultimately pretty petty and absurd, though this film addresses it through its brilliant use of dark humor. Although this film doesn't treat the main conflict as one big joke. I mean, it takes the conflict seriously, but it's not afraid to address the sheer absurdity of the conflict. In that regard, it strangely feels like a Wes Anderson movie. The conflict itself feels pretty believable, and especially Padraig's initial reaction feels extremely relatable, though the consequences of this conflict is where the absurdity lies. Colin Farrell's character Padraig is actually really relatable in the beginning of this film. His best friend Colm abruptly cuts ties with him, and like anyone would, he wants to know why. Yes, as this film goes on, he goes too far, to the point where he's harassing Colm. But in Padraig's defense, Colm is taking pretty extreme and drastic measures to leave him alone, and I would understand why he would be concerned for his emotional well-being. In fact, this conflict causes both of our main characters to lose their minds. Both sides of this conflict do feel very believable. Colm, for example, is going through a pretty severe midlife crisis, though the actions he takes to cope with this are very extreme and very absurd, though this film manages to make this character still feel believable somehow. Though probably the best performance in this film is Barry Keoghan as Dominic. This is such a tragic character, but at the same time, Barry Keoghan is able to bring a level of humanity and humor to this character. Also, the chemistry between Dominic and Padraig is hilarious, though this character is a side character, so he really doesn't have that much screen time, and that's actually the only criticism I have of this film. I just wish that we saw more of this character, though it probably would have messed with the overall pacing. Also, this film is absolutely beautiful. It takes place on a small island off the coast of Ireland. The cinematography and colors are just so vibrant. The set design also is incredible. I am super bummed that I missed this film in theaters. Seeing this on the big screen would have been a treat. The island of Inisherin has the perfect amount of quaint homeliness and the perfect amount of loneliness. Yes, there's a community on this island, but the inhabitants are very closed off. This film establishes how one could feel very lonely in an environment like this, but at the same time, establish why someone would want to reside here. Yes, this film is very comedic, but it doesn't forget that deep down, this film is a tragedy. Okay, now I'm gonna get into some pretty vague spoilers. So, if you've never seen this film and you want to go in completely blind, I would highly recommend clicking off this video right now and to go watch this film. Trust me, it's an excellent watch. But anyways, this film ends on a conclusive yet open-ended note. This film takes its time to reflect the unrepairable damage that our main conflict has caused. Though this film still leaves a few loose threads for the audience to make conclusions about. This film leaves our two main characters at a point of no return. They are left with nothing, except their stupid, petty conflict. I personally believe that this film is an anti-war film. It hits the basic story beats of an anti-war film. But I feel like that there's a level of dark comedy that really gives this film character. And overall, this is probably my favorite film of the last year. Because of that, The Banshees of Inisherin gets an A+. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed my review of The Banshees of Inisherin. And if you did, make sure to give this video a like. And if you want more content like this, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell notification so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And shout out to Crush and Bill Manspeaker. Thanks for watching.